Alright, this week in the Powerlifting for a Sec series, we're going to be talking about hips up in the squat and what to do about it. In this position where we see the hips drive up, there's a number of things that can come into play. The first thing that we can think about is technical proficiency in the movement. So when we see a person going down and they're squatting down, do they maintain their position? Are they able to go down well? If they're able to go down well, and if they come up and the problem initiates where the hips drive up, the chest stays in place.
Push! There you go.
Well, now that introduces a whole new question, because one of the easiest things to do is look at that downward motion. If they're doing that well, then they probably understand what they should be doing, and there's some sort of other issue. However, if the person's going down and they're not controlling their hips and their chest at the same rate, then that's more of a technical issue generally. One of the easiest things to do to check that though is just to tell the person, drive their shoulders into the bar in the bottom of the lift. Now, when we have that person try and do that, they're trying to drive the shoulders up, it helps drive the chest up. If that helps alleviate the problem, no more problem, wonderful. However, in a lot of cases, that's not what happens. And so one of the next things we can do is look at what their knees are doing. In a previous video that we just did, we talked about knee position in the squat, and I discussed knees forward. For a lot of the people that deal with this problem is that they don't keep their knees forward. Yes, their hips shoot up, but one of the more things that we can see is that their knees really drive backwards. And so by keeping the knees forward, a lot of times that can get rid of the issue right there. Now, whether their knees stay forward because of a technical issue though, is another question. And so just telling that person to keep their knees forward, if that alleviates the problem and they practice it and it goes well, then no problem. However, if it doesn't, then there might be something else that we need to address. So you've told the person, shoulders driving to the bar, knees forward, and it cleans up their squat. Beautiful. If it doesn't, next thing we should look at is how do they front squat? Or high bar squat if they can't front squat. For most people, if they're a low bar squatter and we see this thing happening, it's usually because they don't have very strong quads. When the quads are not a very strong component of driving up, we shift back, place more emphasis on our hamstrings and glutes, and we're able to get through the lift that position. When we see people who are very proficient front squatters or high bar squatters, for example, Olympic weightlifters, we see a very pretty vertical squat, where the chest leads the way through the whole lift. Now, in those individuals, we see huge quads, and whereas in a lot of powerlifters, we don't see that. There's such a big trend in working on low bar squatting, low bar squatting, low bar squatting. And if we don't have a very technically proficient one, where we don't have all of the mechanics down, then we might be leading to not utilizing the quads to their full degree. So if those cues didn't work, the next thing you want to do is look at that front squat. So, you try those cues, and now you're looking at the squats. If we see a similar trend in their ratios of low bar, high bar, and front squat, then you're probably safe. However, we see that the front squat is blatantly worse, or the high bar is blatantly worse than the low bar, and then that's something to consider and start working on. That's a very easy fix that you can add in, where you work on your low bar positioning as you were before, and then after you've done that, you follow it up with additional front squat work. But while you're doing low bar work, you're still working on trying to drive the shoulders in the bar and knees forward to as much of a degree as you can. And you use those front squats to work on working on that mechanic even more. So this week in the Powerlifting for a Sec series, we discussed what to do if your hips are shooting up, a few easy fixes that hopefully will help you. If it doesn't, what to do about it. Basically, it comes down to how strong are your quads. For people who are very strong quad dominant squatters, we're going to see a very vertical squat where the hips stay down and the chest leads the way up. However, if that's not your case, then that's where we're going to see the hips shoot up. So check out those things. If you have any questions, email me at sam@roughstateathletics.com. We'll catch you guys next week.